Hi, this is John Sterling, and you're listening to the Bat Boys Corner podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the Bat Boys Corner podcast. I'm Billy Pinckney, coming at you from the Bat Boys Corner studios in Little Falls, New Jersey. And today we have a very special guest on the show, and that's legendary Ballhawk Zack Hample. Zach, appreciate you coming on.
What's up, man? New Jersey, right across the river. We're neighbors.
Yes, sir.
Like it.
Now, you're obviously known for pretty much catching many important home runs in baseball history, and we'll get to those in just a minute. But tell us how your interest in collecting balls began. Was it just being a typical baseball fan, coming to a game and trying to catch a ball?
Well, I'll tell you, and you can decide if it's typical or not, but I was very young, probably 4 or 5 years old, and watching baseball on TV for the first time. And, you know, the cameras always zoom in on people and show them celebrating and just going nuts when they catch balls. And I guess that left some extra kind of impression on me. Little kids are impressionable, but I don't know what about it just kind of made me crazy, but I just knew that I had to catch a baseball. And it took a long time before I got one. And even then it was just a toss up in batting practice when I was 12. But after that, it was like there was no going back. And I just wanted to go to games all the time and keep catching baseballs. And here we are decades later, and I can't even explain it.
Awesome. Now, when was it that you realized, I'm going to record this, document this, and create a YouTube channel and show the world my experiences?
My mom was always a huge photo taker. And there are lots of pictures of me as a baby, which, that was before there were digital cameras. So I guess just growing up, there was often a camera in my face in a good way. And my dad was a writer, and he was always, recording things in his own way. I mean, he did a lot of children's books and fiction, but it's just like there was this I don't know if compulsion is the word, but just a tendency toward documenting and recording things. And, I got my own camera when I was young and took a lot of pictures. And then I started writing in a journal, and then I started writing writing a blog. And, I just tried to keep up with technology and the times. And I knew somebody years ago who was a videographer, and he suggested that he filmed me at a game and we put it on YouTube. And I was like, what for? And he was like, I don't know, I think it would be fun. And so that really jump started things, but it really wasn't till I snagged A-Rod's 3000th hit that the YouTube stuff really took off. I already had a few videos prior to that, but they just weren't getting a ton of views. But after that, it just seemed like everybody in the baseball world was aware of me on some level, and videos did a lot better, and that motivated me to really keep going.
That's awesome. I mean, you just mentioned A-Rod and that 3000th hit. Talk about some of your most memorable moments and balls that you caught. There's so many throughout the years.
The A-Rod ball, that was in 2015. That was certainly the biggest one when it happened. And I figured that would always be the biggest by far. But 4 years before that, I caught a home run ball that was hit by somebody batting under 200 that I knew was a big deal, but I didn't think it would become this big of a deal. And that person was Mike Trout, and that was his first career home run. Wow. At Camden Yards in Baltimore. Just a very empty, lazy Sunday afternoon in the summer, very hot and humid. And I was one of the few morons sitting out in the sun getting skin cancer. But I was doing that in part because I knew that there was this, very highly touted prospect with 0 home runs named Mike Trout. So it's like, well, if he hits one, it would be kind of cool if I catch it. And right. What do you know? He did. So that one, the Trout first home run and A-Rod's 3000th hit are definitely the two biggest. But there have been some other ones. I caught a Barry Bonds home run, number 724 of his career. I caught a Derek Jeter home run after his 3000th hit. It was number 3262, not a milestone, but just still cool. And the last home run that the Mets ever hit at Shea Stadium, their old ballpark, I caught that in 2008. And then there are just other interesting ones, like, I got the final out ball of a Mariano Rivera save back in, I think, 2004. If I have the year right, his 313th career save. He just flipped that ball into the crowd when he walked off the field at Yankee Stadium. I caught that. So it's like, how do you put a value on that? It's not a home run, but it's just still really, really cool. And 3 grand slams and a walk-off home run and several other players' first career home runs. So it's just fun to be a part of baseball history, even if it's a smaller part of history. I do take pride in that.
That's great. I mean, I remember when you went into the stadium with A-Rod and had that exchange, and I'm sure that was an awesome moment for you to, be a part of that. And I also want to mention, what are some of the craziest things that you've either witnessed at the ballpark or something that maybe happened to you that's pretty wild?
Wow. Well, I've been to more than 1,700 baseball games in my life, so there's a lot of room for craziness there. I think seeing fans get hit in the face with baseballs is pretty crazy. I mean, that's obviously not a good thing. And maybe you were thinking that I'd share something that's, on the other side of the spectrum. But yeah, I mean, I just remember seeing some brutal moments like that. And I do tend to be pretty squeamish about blood. So not fun to see that. You go to a game and you think you're going to have a good time, maybe catch a ball, you're not even thinking of it, and then bam, right in the face. So that to me is about as extreme as it gets. I would say I've been hit in the face too. I got a really nasty black eye back in 2013 at Turner Field in Atlanta. And the worst thing about it, other than looking like, someone had just punched me in the face, was people were like, "Oh, what happened? Like, you just missed the ball and it hit you in the face." And it's like, oh, like, I know how to catch. That's not the problem. But there was a home run that fell short by maybe, I think it was like 2 or 3 rows short in batting practice. And I was just kind of standing there waiting to see, if it would clear the outfield wall and land in the front row, or if it would hit off the top of the wall. And then I was going to try to get it. And it just landed perfectly on this top edge of concrete that was a little slanted. So it landed there and then ricocheted right into my face.
Oh man.
Probably, 50 miles an hour, direct shot to the face. So like, that was pretty crazy too. I guess I think of, those unfortunate moments as being the crazy things.
Yeah. Do you get the ball at least?
Not that one, but I got 18 others that day. So it's all
okay.
good.
It's all good. All good.
Yeah.
Now, with most people who are in the spotlight, there's going to be criticism, and you've heard your fair share of criticism, whether it's people saying that you're stealing balls from kids or something of that nature. What people don't know is the fact that you've given a lot of them away and made kids' days, and you've also done a lot of charity work. So talk about how you handle that criticism and what you truly do for others that not as many people might see.
Thanks for asking. I do try to give back in the process of running around and having my fun, and to not be a total jerk in the process. But that unfortunately gets lost on people. We live in a culture where bad news tends to get more attention and more clicks. And I definitely have done and said some stupid things, but I have been the subject of a lot of fake news and false narratives. I've never knocked down anybody going for a ball. I don't steal balls from people. When I was much younger, I did reach in front of people for balls. It's been a long time since I've done that. I'm not proud of it. And at this point, I give away most of my baseballs either to kids at games, or I donate them directly to a charity. And there is a charity that I've worked with directly since 2009. I've done a fundraiser every year for them. They're called Pitch In for Baseball and Softball, and they provide equipment to underprivileged kids and communities all over the world. So sometimes my season-long fundraisers generate money for every ball that I catch. Like, people will pledge, like, I'll give you a nickel for every ball you catch, or I'm going to pledge 50 cents or whatever. And then the people who pledge money, they're not actually receiving the baseballs. It's just a way of tallying up the money. And then they donate it directly at the season's end to the charity. And the A-Rod ball, when I snagged that in 2015, this was the charity that received money from the Yankees when I gave that ball to A-Rod. So, a lot of people at the time were calling me greedy and selfish because I didn't want to give up the ball. And it's like, well, first of all, it's mine. If A-Rod wants it, he could make an offer. But I was actually working out a deal with the Yankees where they would give money to the charity, and it ended up being $150,000. So, I still get, I see comments on social media still to this day, 6 years later, where people are angry at me for not giving A-Rod the ball. And it's just like, maybe you should get out of your house more and read the news, because it's old news, and I did give it to him. So it's just weird how much attention that generated. Not all of it good. In fact, a lot of it was negative early on, but I think ultimately that was a good solution there. And there've just been other things that people love to get pissed at, like it's definitely cancel culture central around what I do, which, I catch baseballs. Like it's hard to believe how angry people can get over that, and just this assumption that I'm out there crushing babies, but that's not the case at all. So yeah, thankfully though, I will say that most of the negativity is confined to the internet. I meet thousands of people every season in a normal season at stadiums, and it's overwhelmingly positive. But you get on the internet, you get on Twitter, whatever, and people love to try to make a name for themselves by cutting you down. So that's what the block button is for, and I don't think about it too much, and I just get on with my life.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I want to bring that up, because, everything gets magnified. All the so-called bad things or rumors get magnified in New York, and, people don't see the good side of things and what, you've been able to do for people as well. Also, you've been involved in books. Talk about some of the those situations with your books and how that's all come to fruition.
Well, like I said before, my dad was a writer, and he definitely paved the way and showed me what it was like to write a book and to go through the publishing and the editing process. So I wrote my first book when I was 19, after my freshman year of college. I had a job, some random job lined up with an environmental group. I supported that cause, but ultimately that fell through, and I needed something to do to fill up my time. And my parents, they came and got me at college and drove me home. And this was Greensboro, North Carolina. So long drive home to New York, about 9 hours, I think. And that's without stopping. So on that drive home, it was just sort of like, well, you got to figure out what you're going to do this summer, and you're not going to sit around and do nothing. And they suggested that I write a book about my hobby of catching balls, like a how-to book. And my dad said that he would help me outline it, and he would help me edit it, but that I would have to do all the writing. And that's what happened. And, that book ended up being published a couple of years later. It's a very long process to write a book, and then to try to find an agent and to get it sold. And then it's like, even after you sign a contract, it has to be edited and go through the art department and publicity. And it's a long process. So very interesting to go through that. And then a number of years later, I wrote another one called Watching Baseball Smarter. And there was a third one after that came out in 2011 called The Baseball. So those are my three books. It's been a while since I've written one, and I'm fine with that. I'm really focusing all my attention on YouTube right now. And that's just where my time and creative energy goes, is to putting out videos at this point.
It's great stuff. Now, I'm sure you mentioned it in your books, how to do this stuff. Advice to kids. What advice, simple tips, would you give to kids who are trying to go out to the game and catch a ball?
Get there early. Try to be the first one to enter the stadium, or if not the very first, at least try to be there by the time the gates open, so you can get in and be inside for as much of batting practice as possible. Now, with this this weird coronavirus season coming up, 2021, I've heard that a lot of teams will be opening their gates later. Some teams have already announced 60 minutes before game time. So if that's the case, you may not see any batting practice, or if you're they are right at the start and run in, you might see a couple of minutes, but there will definitely be limited opportunities this year. But then again, reduced capacities mean maybe not as much competition and more room to spread out if a ball does fly your way. So get there early, bring a glove, and try to predict who is likely to hit the ball where. You know, if you're sitting, let's say 400 feet from home plate and you're out in left field, well, you know that some lefty slap hitter is not going to go oppo 400 feet. So, you know, maybe that's when you can take a bite of your hot dog or run and use the bathroom if that guy is going to be leading off the next inning. But, you know, if certain stadiums allow it, and they may not this year because of extra rules and restrictions, you can really move around a lot and position yourself differently for various batters. If not during the game, certainly during batting practice, left field, right field, third base side, first base side, and, you know, see who has the power, see where the wind is blowing. That might help the ball carry farther. If it's 38 degrees and cold on a Tuesday night in April, the ball's not going to carry, versus if it's 95 and humid, you're out in the Midwest somewhere. So you can think about all these factors and really use them to your advantage to try to get some idea of who's likely to do what and hit the ball where.
Awesome. A lot of small factors come into play. Just knowing the game, I feel like, is what's super important. Knowing hitters, where they would hit the ball, and in batting practice, you see, you know, guys hitting complete shots, especially at the big league level. So the 2020 season was tough, obviously, with no fans in the ballpark. It was probably tough to really see much action. And I saw you went to Buffalo and even Rockland, which is an opponent of the team that I work for. But this year, fans are allowed in. What are your plans for this 2021 season? Are you heading to any spring training games or have any plans for opening day?
No spring training for me. Since, let me see, in 2018, I hit up spring training in Arizona. And that was the first time I'd been to spring training since 1995. And so I still haven't been to Florida spring training since 94. And it's on my to-do list. I would really love to go and film some videos and show everybody on YouTube what it's all about and learn from myself, because a lot has changed, obviously, in the last 27 years. But it's not worth it for me to get on an airplane during a pandemic for preseason baseball.
Right.
That's all there is to it. I'm not vaccinated yet. I will absolutely get vaccinated when I can. You know, I believe in science. I listen to the experts. I wish more people would do the same. But if I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to wait till the season starts. And, you know, I heard the Blue Jays might be playing some games in Dunedin, Florida to start the season. I think a couple of homestands. So if they're letting fans in there, and again, I haven't heard anything, I think it would be pretty cool if I can make it in there for a game and add that stadium to my list. But I don't have flights booked. I don't have tickets to any games. I am a season ticket holder at Yankee Stadium, but I don't even know if I'm going to get my seat this year. Mets and Yankees with 10% capacity to start. And I have no idea how tough it's going to be to buy tickets, if they'll be on StubHub, if you then have to buy at least 2 or 4. And what if it's just me? Like, it could get very pricey just going to a regular season game. So no plans whatsoever, but I'm sure that I will be making it to some games at some point and doing some videos. I just don't know if it's going to be 5 or 10 games or 40 or 50. It really just, I'm going to take it on a day by day and week by week basis.
Sounds good. Last thing, how can people find out more? You got social media, your YouTube. What do you got?
Thank you for asking. As long as people know how to spell my name, Zack Hample, Zackhample, I'm very easy to find. I think I'm the only person in the world with the name Zack Hample spelled like that. So punch it in on YouTube or any social media, you know, TikTok, Twitter, Insta. Those are some of the big ones for me. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube, of course. So yeah, you know, I try to be active on social media, but also not let it take over my life. So trying to find that important middle ground to protect my sanity. I think that's the most important thing with things being as weird as they are. But yeah, I try to answer comments and emails, and it can take up a lot of time, but I love hearing from people. So yeah, I'd encourage everyone to find me and get in touch somehow.
Awesome. Zach, I appreciate you coming on, and best of luck this year.
Thank you. Best of luck in your own baseball endeavors. I expect to see you in some top position in the major league someday. Don't forget me when you're famous.
I appreciate it. So with that, we're going to wrap it up here on the Bat Boys Corner podcast. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, and stay connected with us by following us on social media as Billy the Bat Boy and Billy the Bat Boys Corner. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can be notified every time we post a new episode. That'll do it for now, and we'll see you next time here on the Bat Boys Corner podcast.
Hi, this is John Sterling, and you're listening to the Bat Boys Corner podcast.